In this video, we're learning how to find the midpoint between 2 points. And if you look at the top of our screen, we're going to see a formula that we can use when finding the midpoint. But for this first example, I'm going to show you guys where the formula comes from by visually finding the midpoint. And then I'll show you guys how we can use the formula. So if we take a look at example 1, we want to find the midpoint between the points 4, 2 and -2, 6. So what I'm going to do first is actually plot these 2 points. So I'm going to plot 4, 2 right here, and -2, 6 is right here. And I'm going to draw a line between them just so we understand we're trying to find the middle of this line segment. And now you guys may be able to see just visually where the middle is, but I'll show you guys how to find it if you can't really tell. So what we want to do is basically find the middle of the x coordinates and then find the middle of the y coordinates. So I'm going to sketch a line, a horizontal line like this that spans the x coordinate. So it goes from an x coordinate of -2 all the way to the x coordinate of the second point, which is 4. And now I want to find the middle of this line, which will be the middle of our x coordinates. And you can probably tell that the middle is right here, which is at an x coordinate of +1. And I'm going to do the same thing for the y's. So I'm going to draw a vertical line right here and find the middle of our 2 y coordinates, which is right here, which is a +4, which means our midpoint is at the point 1, +4, because it's 3 x coordinates away from both of our points and it's 2 y coordinates away from both of our points. So it's the same number of x coordinates away from both points and the same number of y coordinates away from both points, so that is the middle of those 2 points. So I'm going to write that our midpoint is 1, 4. And now I'm going to show you guys how we can use this formula to find it. So I'm going to write the formula. Midpoint is equal to x2 plus x1 over 2, y2 plus y1 over 2. And I'm going to label our given points using x1, y1, x2, and y2. So I'm going to say the first point is x1, y1, and the second point is x2, y2. And now I'm going to plug them into our equation. So instead of x2, I'm going to replace it with the x coordinate of our second point, add that to the x coordinate of our first point, put that over 2. Instead of y2, I'm going to put the y coordinate of our second point, add that to the y coordinate of our first point, and put that over 2. And now we're just going to simplify this. -2 plus 4 is +2, so we have +2 over 2, and 6 plus 2 is 8, so we get 8 over 2. And finally, if we simplify this further, 2 over 2 is 1, and 8 over 2 is 4, so we get the same midpoint that we found before, which is 1, 4. So in case you guys forget this equation, you can just understand visually that to find the midpoint, you want to find the middle of the x coordinates and the middle of the y coordinates. Let's go through 2 more examples. So taking a look at example 2, we want to find the midpoint between the point -3, 6 and the point -5, -2. So I'm going to use our formula. So I'm going to write our formula as midpoint is equal to x2 plus x1 over 2, y2 plus y1 over 2. And I'm going to label our points. So I'm going to say the first point is x1, y1. The second point is x2, y2. And now we're just going to plug in our values into this formula. So we're going to replace x2 with the x coordinate of the second point, add that to the x coordinate of the first point, divide that by 2, replace y2 with the y coordinate of the second point, add that to the y coordinate of the first point, and divide that by 2. And we're going to simplify. So for the first fraction, -5 plus -3 is -8, so we get -8 over 2. And -2 plus 6 is +4, so we get +4 over 2. And finally, simplify this a little bit more. -8 over -2 gives us a -4 for our y or x coordinate, and 4 over 2 gives us a +2 for our y coordinate. So we get that the midpoint of these 2 points is -4, 2. And finally, taking a look at our last example, we have the points 1, 7 and 4, -5. And I encourage you guys to pause the video and try this one on your own. And then you can unpause it and watch me work through it to make sure that you've solved it correctly. So we'll start by writing our formula. Midpoint equals the sum of our x's divided by 2 and then the sum of our y's divided by 2. I'll label our 2 points with x1, y1 and x2, y2, and now we're just going to plug in our values. So we're going to find the sum of the x-coordinates, so we're going to do the x-coordinate of the second point plus the x-coordinate of the first point, divide that by 2. Put the y-coordinate of the second point, add it to the y-coordinate of our first point, and divide that by 2. And now we're going to simplify. 4 plus 1 is 5, so we get 5 over 2. Negative 5 plus 7 is positive 2, so we get positive 2 over 2. And now we can't really simplify 5 over 2, we're just going to leave it as an improper fraction, so our x-coordinate is 5 over 2. And we can simplify 2 over 2 to get a y-coordinate of 1. So we get that the midpoint is 5 over 2, comma 1. So hopefully this video helped you guys understand how to find the midpoint between 2 points. You can either memorize this formula up top, or just understand that to find the midpoint, you want to find the middle of the x-coordinates and then the middle of the y-coordinates.